Well. Yes, I know I'm late. I am trying to set this up because um, we have a storm going on right now. And because of the storm, everything is kind of delayed. But give me 1 second because I am trying. No, I'm in the right place. I need my profile. I'm trying. What had happened was there. I don't know if you can tell, but by what little you have. Hold on, let me go back to the screen so I see what you can see. I don't think you can see it from here, but there is. It has been raining for like the last 3-4 hours, which is not normal for Florida. When you come to Florida, what ends up happening is it rains for 20-30 minutes. Feels like a hurricane, and then it stops. And that I just saw is the reason why I hadn't started yet, because there was a thunder and lightning. There was a lightning storm. And in fact, if it comes back as strong as it was, I'm going to have to drop this until Sunday, because I am not going to do this in that weather. But if by any chance we can stay, I'm going to do my best to stay for as long as possible, because I think it's an important topic that we haven't talked about. Now, give me a second because I'm still trying to set all of this up. And I don't think anybody's going to show up because I don't even know if this thing is actually moving or not. But yeah. So the reason why I decided to do this way is there's two reasons. Number one, I'm having issues with the computer. I had this happen before, and I have been doing really great for a few months, and now it's doing it again, where I will record something on the computer, and when I hit stop so that it downloads to the app or the software or whatever you want to call it where I'm recording, there's no file. And some of my best stuff has gone bye-byes because of that. So that was one of the reasons why I decided to do this way. The second reason why I decided to do this um, to do it this way is because that way I can say whatever I have to say. And if anybody shows up, or if this actually goes live, I can actually, well, for one thing, I can turn this into a video if I have to. But also, hopefully, a couple of people will show up and have something to say about this story. Hold on, give me a second. Hold on. I need to put something here so that I remember. Ugh. I can't spell to save my life. All right, here we go. Now I can do that. And then I can turn this into a pinned comment. And I'm done. All right. So let's talk about this. Now, this video was inspired by somebody whose name is Michaela Rains. I have to be honest with you, before this week, I didn't know who this person was. And the reason why this person was brought to my attention is because she was going through some things, and she took a remedy to those things that I tried to take a few years back, and where I failed and was able to wake up from it all and realize the reality of everything. She didn't. Unfortunately, she was successful, and she's no longer here. And the reason why I'm bringing that up is because lately I've seen a lot of people talking about internet bullying. I know I'm going to use words here that the reason why I put the coffee link on the pinned comment is because this live stream is probably going to get demonetized because of this topic, okay? But here's the thing, everybody's talking about online bullying and how it affects communities and all this other stuff. There's certain things that I'm watching happen that nobody's talking about. And as someone who is very familiar with this situation, I think I'm uniquely qualified to talk about this for two reasons. Number one, I was the victim of incessant bullying for 2.5 years by several people. The link is the pinned comment, but that's just for coffee. If you want to buy me a coffee, that's you don't have to. And welcome, darling. So the thing about it is that I was the victim of this kind of behavior for a very long time. And if you've been here for a while, you know what happened. I'm not going to name any names because one of the funny things about social media is that whether you talk about somebody good or bad, you automatically are sending people their way. And I refuse. So I know somebody's expecting me to say something. You're not going to get it, darling. Hey, Molly. I am so sorry, Molly. I didn't realize you were cooking. I saw it now. I was like, oh, hey, Mama J. So what I would appreciate for you guys to do if you can share the live stream, and I apologize in advance for the lighting because what I was saying is I have a storm. We have a storm. Normally I have the perfect sunlight at this time of day here. That's why I said 7. Unfortunately, I have been waiting for the storm to pass. And the funny thing is that I can see in the distance the sun and the cloud and blue skies and everything. But the part that covers my area is completely gone. So anyway, let's talk about this for a second. Now, I am not going to I was originally going to do this in another way so that I could show you all the screenshots. I am not going to share the screenshots because then I start and I'm not good at dividing time when I have screenshots in front of my face. I am going to read you all the screenshots and then I'm going to turn this this live stream into a video segments that I'm probably going to post on, what's it called? On shorts later. And for those people that don't see me normally might hopefully get a little bit of information. But here's the thing. Oddly enough, and this is how I found out about this person and about the situation. So you have an idea. I can't tell you if it was Tuesday or Wednesday. I want to say it was Wednesday. And if you see me looking directly at you, it's because I'm actually looking at my screen. I am trying to find when this conversation was brought up with me. I am not going to name the person who had this conversation with me because I don't want to get them undue attention. But if they come, you know what? Let me let her know that I'm live in case she decides she wants to come. So this is what happened. And I apologize. I'm a little out of sorts because I'm supposed to be on vacation. I've been in bed most of the day because I am in pain. I can either lay in bed or stand up. I cannot sit down. And this is driving me crazy. So that's why I'm a little off. But here's what happened. On Tuesday night, I got a message from somebody because ironically, and most of you have been here for a while, so you know the history. My name, once again, has been brought up as a direct consequence of the consequences of other people's actions. Let's call it that. And so it was brought to my attention that maybe I should have a conversation with somebody who wanted to expose all these other people that I don't care about anymore. Of course we do. Why wouldn't we remember you? What happened? Nobody remembers you. So what happens is, I'm not doxing people, so I'm not telling anybody's um, things here. Okay, just remember that. So here's the thing. On Tuesday, I get this information about maybe you should talk about this person because of what you've been through, blah blah blah. And then, not even 24 hours later, the same person that told me this mentioned that Michaela Rains had passed away. Now, I didn't know Michaela Rains. I did not follow Michaela Rains. I don't follow a lot of animal rescue groups. I only follow a couple of dog rescuers. So I didn't know about her. Water, it's not alcohol, it's water, just in case. But I let it freeze, and that's evidence that it's not my favorite type of alcohol, which would be vodka. Vodka doesn't freeze. But I let it freeze so it lasts me for as long as I'm talking. Because you all know I'm having a lot of struggle with that. So Michaela Rains, for those of you who don't know, and I am going to be looking at my notes because I did take screenshots of the website and whatnot. Michaela Rains, what she used to do, she was rescuing, what's the word I'm looking for? Foxes born in captivity. And what that means, and by the way, I'm only explaining this because I didn't know any of this until I read it. But foxes in captivity are basically foxes that are born and raised, like the word says, in captivity, but there's a specific purpose for them. And that purpose is for their pet, to make them into coats and things like that. So this person had training in both, oh, what's the word of the thing that she used to do? Hold on. She was a rehabilitator, a wildlife rehabilitator. Okay, just so you know about it. Hi, Millie. So this girl was a rehabilitator. What do you call it? A wildlife rehabilitator. She also trained as a vet tech. So this is not somebody that doesn't know anything and just wants to save the animals, which there's nothing wrong with that, because so long as you seek the counsel of people that know what they're doing, there's nothing wrong with that. But this girl had a lot of education, and she had been rehabilitating and saving foxes for 10 years. Okay. So the thing about it is that, and I watched her husband's video. So some of the information I'm giving you right now is from the husband's video. She had struggled with, I believe it was bipolar, depression, and the fact that she was in the spectrum for autism. I'm beginning to feel like we all are, but she was struggling with depression, and unfortunately, the recently she had been mercilessly bullied by people that she considered friends. And on social media, there was a thing called a snark Reddit. Now, call me stupid. I didn't know what a snark Reddit is because I don't follow Ethan Klein. So I don't know anything about snark Reddits. Okay. So I went and looked for the definition of snark Reddit in case you are as uninformed about this as I am. Maybe I'm the only moron, but make me feel better and tell me that you don't know either. So I'm going to read this because, Snark subreddits are user created communities on the social platform Reddit. This is from Wikipedia. And yes, sometimes I do trust Wikipedia. And created to gossip about and express frustration towards or snark on public figures. And here is the key to this. Largely female influencers such as YouTubers and TikTokers. Members of snark subreddits are known as snarkers. Some snark subreddits, such as our Blog Snark or City Influential and NYC Influence Snark or LA Influence Snark, discuss influencers in general, while others focus on particular individuals or their families. Snark subreddits have been criticized both by critics and their targets as a form of cyberbullying and as invasive of their subjects, often getting details wrong and engaging in harassment that targets women. Now, I actually have one of the comments that was unearthed after the fact where a person is attacking her because she went to the snark Reddit to try to defend herself before she took matters into on her own hands. So I didn't even know it was something to do with Ethan Klein. No, the reason why I mention Ethan Klein is because Ethan Klein apparently has his own snark Reddit. I don't know why you, as a YouTuber, would feel the need to create a snark Reddit at all for any reason. But it might explain why Trisha Paytas has been getting a lot of hate on Reddit lately. I don't know. I don't know how that works. But the bottom line is that she leaves a husband that loved her very much. And the page here on YouTube is Save a Fox. If you want to do something nice for them, please go subscribe to that channel. Give them some love. The latest video that I saw, which is this morning I saw it, was her husband explaining what happened. But it hit home. It hit home for several reasons. The number one reason being September, October of 2020. And if you know, you know. And if you don't know, there's a video on this channel called The Purge. Go watch it after you watch this. And you'll understand why it hit home. But there's some things that I want to say. And I want to say certain things to, number one, the people who engage in this behavior. And then hopefully it looks like the weather is improving. And secondly, I want to talk to the people who are on the receiving end of this kind of behavior. Now, let me start by saying a couple of things. I am going to talk about my personal experience in this moment. Nobody has a right to tell me that I'm right or wrong because these are my perceptions based on my experience. I'm not talking about the people that are on the chat right now. I'm talking about some person that might come to the channel, see this video and say, oh, you're wrong because this is what happened. No, you don't get to tell me that my experience is wrong because it's my experience. You also don't get to tell me that I shouldn't be talking about my experience because it's funny how everybody makes money out of everything about their lives, but I'm not allowed to talk about what happened on this channel 5-6 years ago. I want to also remind you of something, but I am not going to be able to remind you the way I want to because unfortunately I don't have that video on this. I'm trying to find if one of the phones has that video so I can show you what I was dealing with when this all came down and how ruthless the people that were harassing me were, that they didn't realize, this person is going through hell right now. Let's leave her alone for a minute. It's not coming out. But what I'm talking about is my mother, who had Alzheimer's and passed away in 2021. And I was taking care of her when all of this was going down. Keep in mind, I live with depression. I have a medical condition called IBS, which affects my stomach and also affects my mental health. And I am taking care of my mother, who doesn't know who I am because she's living with Alzheimer's. And through all of this, I wanted an escape. So I started creating videos about things I found funny or interesting. You all know, the people that have been here from the beginning know that I was using the term commentary before it became a thing. And I'm trying very hard to find, I just hate watching myself, so it's very hard for me. But I'm trying to find the first video where I said I'm not a drama channel, I'm a commentary channel, because I want to prove my point, which is that I've been saying that for gazillions, actually technically 9 years. But let's leave that aside. Bottom line is, I was going through a lot. And a month before my last attempt, my dog, who, if you've been on the channel also, you know I had for 14 years, my dog passed away. And this is the time when these people decide that it's a good idea to come and bully me mercilessly, accuse me of being a PDF file, create a false record of arrest, because how many people do you know that get an arrest record with a picture of them sitting in front of their computer, and create this entire narrative around me that I'm a horrible person. Mind you, the two main people that actually had channels, because there were a lot of people that were trash talking, but there were two people that actually had channels, and I have both of those people basically admitting to the things that they're doing, whether it's by their own mouth or because they actually confided in people that came and told me, and I have the screenshots of that. Am I going to bring them out? No, because again, I'm not giving those people any attention. I am talking about the behavior. Let's start with the people who have the bad habit of, even email creators can have a snark created. Anybody, let's be real, anybody can have a snark Reddit, but I find it interesting that it's predominantly women. And I find it fascinating that we always have to bear the anyway, I'm not gonna get I can't get sidetracked because at 9 o'clock I have to be out the door. So and I'm not going dressed with the fresh sarcasm served daily. I might, but let's go back to the beginning for a minute, because I want you to understand how you go from being maybe a petty person or someone that goes from liking somebody to disliking somebody, and how your behavior can create this. Because the best thing about this whole situation, and yes, I'm being sarcastic, is how people say, well, if they're bullying you, just turn it off. It doesn't work that way, especially if you already have depression. But we're going to get to that later. Okay, let's start from the top. For those of you who've never been here before or hadn't been here in the heyday of this channel, when I was not trying to actively trying to kill my own channel, let's do a little walk down memory lane, and let's talk about the fact that there was a point on this channel where I would have live streams where anywhere from 50 to 200 people would show up. I remember those days because I could barely read the screen. I can't read it now because I'm blind, but I couldn't read it because it was going so fast. Okay, let's start there. So we have a situation where people are always talking about parasocial relationships. And the funny thing about parasocial relationships is that when maybe it's different when you're a big channel with millions of subscribers, but when you're a small subscribers, parasocial relationships can be between two people that are nobodies. I had relationships with people. I could tell you, I'm not going to name any names, so don't ask. I can tell you the names of the people that will come to every, and of course, I'm talking of the screen names. I'm not going to dox anybody, but I could tell you the name of every single person that would come to every video and leave me a comment, support me in that way, or come to the live stream and chat with me for hours. I can talk about one person in particular who would come to every video, would watch every live stream, would talk to me all the time. And one day I was doing research for a video. And in order for me to create the research for the screenshots for the video, I went ahead and I decided to look myself up on Google. The video, I don't know if you guys remember, there was a time when I made a video about faking not DMs, text messages on your phone. I was doing an entire series on that never came to light. But there was one about the one that I actually released, which was the one about the text messages. There was one about Social Blade. And then I did a third one about what you discover when you Google yourself and how important it is that if you have a business, I'm not talking about regular people. If you have a business or you have a channel, you don't want to be bombarded, but you want to be informed. So every 6 months to a year, maybe you want to go ahead and Google yourself. There's too many people named with my name, but there's only one Metamorphosis Rocks. And here's what I found. There were, and I don't know if these sites are still in existence, because the only one I know that's still kind of similar in the bulletin board type situation is Reddit. But there were two specifically, and I know lolcow still exists, but I don't understand lolcow, so I went once and I was like, oh no, and I left. But there was Lipstick Alley and Guru Gossip. I don't understand how those work, Guru, lolcow, and Lipstick Alley, so I don't go in them, but I have seen the pages, and the reason why I'm telling you this is because I Googled myself, and lo and behold, there's an entire Guru Gossip page on me, and the number one person trash talking me is this person that used to be on every single video, patting me in the back, talking to me in private, telling me how good it was to see somebody older having an opinion, blah, 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 blah. Meanwhile, this person is completely destroying me like a snake in the grass. And that is a term that I'm using for a reason. Because, yes, if you are still alive and talking about me, yeah, I'm talking about you. Like a snake in the grass, this person was trashing me. Like, really trashing me. Like, the page that I actually saw had 10 or 11 comments from her alone. The other people that were talking, I know who they are. They're the tea states. But this person in particular shocked me. And the reason why I brought parasocial relationships into the conversation, and I'm pretty sure Michaela feels the same way that I do, which is why her husband said that there are people that it hurt her because she felt an attachment to them, is because the same way you can create parasocial relationships with big YouTubers and whatnot, we, the little ones, create parasocial relationships with all of you, especially those of you who constantly talk to us, who we don't know, but we talk to you all the time, and we see you on all our videos, and you support us, and you are so kind and wonderful to us. It really, really hurts when it's one of you that's turning around on the social media and basically trying to destroy me from afar, thinking that I'm not going to see it. That really sucked. It really sucked because what that person said, I'm not going to say that the person was lying about this particular situation, but the person, one of their main complaints was that they were made to feel guilty because they were not donating to the channel. Which, if you've been here for a while, you know that my answer to that when I found that particular comment, was nobody ever told you that you had to donate to the channel. I am going through a financial situation. I could use some money. I put all my links on all my videos and on all my, and the funny thing is that there's a lot of people that put their PayPal, their Venmo, their Cash App, their Coffee, their Patreon, and their subscribers. Nobody said bats an eye about that, but let me be doing that and I'm freaking scammer. And this person was complaining that I was making them feel guilty. Instead of coming to me and telling me, you're making me feel guilty because you're talking about, and I would have said, no, you don't have to feel guilty. I don't care, because if you're watching me, you're putting money on my pocket, because YouTube automatically sends a portion of the premium to each of the people that you watch. So don't worry about it. Just keep watching me and share my videos. That's all I need. I don't need you to donate money. But instead of doing that and having the conversation with me, this person decided that it was better to go and trash me on social media. Mind you, at this time and at this point in time, I was trying to sell everything I own pretty much on social media. I was trying to offer services of like administration services online for people, because we really, really needed the money. We still need money, but we're trying to do the best that we can with what we have. Now, mind you, I have borrowed up the wazoo. I have loans. I cannot even tell you how many loans I have to survive. I'm not even talking about, I'm not going to even get into the whole, oh, well, you buy makeup all the time. Yeah, I used to buy the makeup on credit. And then I have to pay the credit cards. These are the things that people don't even think about, but it's easier to go and trash talk people. I had people on social media, and and this one was the one, and you've heard this before because I've mentioned it before. I had people on social media talking like they've known me all my life, when the reality is that not even the facts of the conversations that they were having were true. Funny thing about people who lie and who bully others on social media is that they're in the habit of talking with such confidence while being incredibly ignorant about the reality. Just so the next time you want to lie about me, you have the facts straight. My husband and I have been married for 37 years, and on July 4th, it'll be 40 years since we've known each other. I'm 58. That means I've known my husband for 2/3 of my life. Have we had our struggles? I don't know any real marriage that doesn't have struggles. Have we been in the border and precipice of like just saying, you know what, you go your way, I go mine? Yeah, everybody has. Have we had some things that have happened that are kind of crazy and, yeah. Am I going to talk about them? No. You don't get that right. And I'm not talking to you guys, I'm talking to the people that like to talk trash about me. But anyway, going back to parasocial relationships, that will affect people because my ride or dies. Okay. My ride or dies are people that I can tell you when they started watching, how we became friends and all this other stuff. Some of them I still follow them to this day, even though I don't talk to them anymore. And it's not that I don't talk to them anymore because I hate them or anything like that. It's just that we've lost track because life has gotten in the way. When I see them on the chat, I go hysterical because I haven't seen them in a long time. And I love that. Some of you I don't, but most of you I do. But let's keep talking about this whole conversation about how people will trash talk people and do things and not consider the consequences. When people say it's just words, no, it isn't. Let me get you a little information, a little tidbit into personal lives and relationships and whatnot. Words are often worse than actual beatings. And I can say this as a survivor of both. I had a boyfriend at one point in my life that hit me. And I went and found something to hit him with back, and he had to run because if I would have hit him with that, I probably would have killed him. Because that's not a thing. However, I also had a boyfriend that had a habit of what we now call gaslighting, which back then didn't have that name. He would gaslight me into doing things and saying things and acting in ways that had nothing to do with who I am as a person. Wasn't then, I'm not now. And like an idiot, I would do it. And now I look back on it and I realize that I was young and stupid and he was older. Not a lot older, but he was older. But he got me to do things that I no longer regret because I realized that I was being abused. All of them by the power of the way he talked to me. And this is where I get so offended. Molly, stop making me want to cry. And I'm talking about the last comment. Don't make me cry. Anyway. So here's the thing. I understand that there's an entire segment of the population that likes to talk, do commentary, critique, whatever you want to call it. All the creators. Excuse me. I'm not against that. I do it. We all do it. We all do it in daily life. What I am against is when you go so confidently into any kind of social media and talk about a person and talk about things that you know nothing about. In the case of this young lady, people were criticizing her for things that were happening in her sanctuary. I still don't know anybody, living or dead, that has had the care of animals that has not had accidents happen on their watch. I don't care if you like them or you don't like them. I'm talking all the way from zoos to rehabilitation centers to sanctuaries. There have always been accidents because at the end of the day, you're dealing with animals. And animals are going to be animals. It is what it is. I saw some of the stuff that she was doing and she was amazing. She had been working at this for 10 years. The fact that people were bringing up stuff that happened in 2019, and that's another topic. Hold on. Let's talk about that for a second. Social media. I don't care who you are, what your race, ethnicity, religious belief, political belief. I don't care what it is. I am a little tired of you pulling out stuff people did 7, 8, 9 years ago and using it as evidence of misbehavior now. I'm going to use an example that people get really angry when I use it, but it's the perfect example. I don't know if you all remember 5, 6 years ago when Rich Lux got called out for using the N word. Now, some people might not understand this, and that's fine. But let's go back to my daughter's childhood. My daughter was raised for the first 4 years of her life in the United States, and then I moved her to Puerto Rico. So did most of her friends. Her friends in middle school mostly spent elementary school in the States and then came to Puerto Rico. 9 out of 10 of the boys use the N word with the A ending, not the ER. Back in the 1990s, the N word with the A ending was not considered a racial slur. It was just a thing. And responsibility on this falls on JC. I put it on JC. JC had an interview with Oprah where he said that he wanted to destigmatize the word, the N word. And she told him that she had a big problem with it. And they had a very interesting debate about the N word. Now, the N word is not my concern because it has nothing to do with me. I did not grow up with that word. So it doesn't flow out of the tongue like, well, I'm also not a racist. But the bottom line is that I was not raised with that word. Okay. Now, I don't know if you remember what happened to the 2 times he was accused of this. The first time, the person turned out that had made some really interesting posts on Twitter about the same time that Rich had apparently used the word. Mind you, the use of the word had been years before the actual expose of the word was. Okay? So it is fair to bring up this other person's past, because if you're going to go looking for Rich Love's past, it's right that we go and look at yours. Okay? Same thing happened when the whole Dramageddon one happened and people started looking for Laura Lee's old comments and Manny MUA's old comments and everybody. Bye, Mama J. See you later, sweetie. And the same exact thing happened when people went and looked into the past of all these people. And of course, Laura Lee ended up having the worst time out of all the people in that picture. We cannot expect people to change. And this is something that I've had this conversation with a lot of my people who are in the race in question. In other words, Black. I've had this conversation with many Black people in terms of you cannot expect, you want people to change, but every time you get mad at a person for something completely unrelated, the first thing you're going to bring up is the fact that they used the N word 15 years ago. And I'm not talking about people that are acting that way now. I'm talking about people who have done great strides to be more inclusive, to learn from their mistakes. Listen, there's a lot of people in the United States that were raised with those terminologies and with those words and with those feelings, and that have had to work really hard to break out of that. And whenever they do something stupid, it doesn't matter what it is. It definitely doesn't have anything to do with this. The first thing people bring out is, oh well, you used to use the N word. You cannot ask people to change, and then when they change, you're still bringing the bad things they do. It's just, it would be like if you arrest somebody for stealing and you send them to jail for 5 years, and then when they come out of jail, you're still treating them like they stealing. You're not giving that person a break. You're not giving that person the opportunity to change or anything. And I just think that is very important to remember because again, the I was gonna go to the Wayback Machine to see exactly how bad the snark comments were, because needless to say, that snark page went private. But I decided I'm not in a position, based on the fact that I woke up with a flare up. I was not in a position to sit down and read horrible comments about this young lady. I read one, and the person was bringing up stuff that happened in 2019. The biggest problem that we have on social media is that most of the people that are interested in serving misinformation or lying about other people or whatnot is the fact that they have the habit of um, talking very convincingly about things they don't know anything about. We need to start actually talking to people and watching what they're saying and asking them. Because you know what happens to people that talk very convincingly? If you start questioning what they're saying, they unravel fairly quickly. Buen provecho, Molly. So here's the thing. I have a lot to say about people who think it's funny to post their hate on social media. Funny thing is, these people think they're good people. I remember the tea stains when they started. I'm going to tell you a story about one of the biggest problems I had on social media. And I am going to tilt my hand a little bit on the part of the conversation that's for people who are on the receiving end of this. But I had this person that was relentless on social media. Relentless. Okay. And I would wake up every morning, go to Twitter, and the first thing I would find was this person with yet another account trying to find me just to rip me apart. Okay. Now, I would block every new account, and then a few days later, I would see somebody else would come in, and it would be the same thing. And I thought those were all different people. Turns out that it was one person. But after months and months and months of this, ooh, I have, oh, I have to call these people because we have, I don't know what you call them, things that like are really big and like, but they sting. But a we have a needle of those over there, and that's like right next to my daughter's window, so I have to call them. So the thing about it is, hold on. The problem I have seen in the minority in these communities, and I get this, so no one addresses racism. That was what I calling the person out for, and it was to educate her, and that's another problem. That's another problem that we have, which is, let me back off for a second and answer that comment. It's really interesting that if you call out somebody for bad behavior, they automatically say one of two things: you're trying to cancel them, or you can't take a joke, or there's nothing wrong about the word. And we go back to this thing about there's nothing wrong and they're just words. Maybe to you they're just words, but to the people that have been on the receiving end of those things for months, years, decades, it's not just words. And you can diss me all you want, but that doesn't take away the fact that if you actually use those words, you are a problem. If you support people who use those terms, you are the problem. Going back to the example I was going to give you, I had this person would be bashing me all day long. I would get out, I would go to sleep, I would come back, and there would be a new account. Every time I blocked them, there would be a new account coming, a new account coming. Well, eventually what I did is I put myself on private, and when I was in private, I did not accept any friend requests. And that was for about a month. And when I reopened my account, that particular harassment stopped. And because I thought maybe, okay, maybe because I went to private, they didn't realize that I had opened the page back up. And I forgot about it. In about 2 months after, I went back public. I found out that this particular person was dead. They had, I don't know what kind of disease they had, but they had passed away. And that person was one of the tea stains. And of course, their friends try to make it look like, no, it wasn't her, it wasn't her. But what a coincidence that she passed away and I stopped getting hate for a while. And it was like a good 6 months before the next situation happened. And the sad part about this, and I'm pretty sure this is what happened to Michaela, is that people will like you until they disagree with you. I don't know if you guys remember that I used to say all the time, agree to disagree. Respect other people's rights to have opinions. I'm not talking about the use of the N-word or clear discrimination against other people and other communities. I'm talking about disagreements like whether or not you like a particular influencer or whether or not I, as a channel, have to make a video because you said I have to do it. That's what I'm talking about when I'm talking about disagreement. Okay? Do you know that one of the people who used to be my friends and then turned on me was the first one that said, and this person is a millennial. This person said, "Oh, that agree or disagree is so you're gaslighting me by saying that." How the hell am I gaslighting you by telling you that I respect your right to have an opinion that is not the same as mine? These people and I disagreed on one influencer, Jeffree Star. At the time, I still liked Jeffree Star. He hated him. And he wanted me to make a video about Jeffree Star. And I was like, I'm not making a video about Jeffree Star because you have your panties in a bunch. If you want to make a video about Jeffree, you make it. Be as bold as it, and I'll even watch it. And if I agree with something that you said, I'll agree with you. But I'm not making a video of Jeffree Star on that particular topic. Well, that person turned on me very, very fast. And the funny thing is that he turned on me, and when I said on the live stream later, we can agree to disagree, and I will still love you. Just the same way I respect your opinion, you should respect mine. And that person went and sent me a DM immediately telling me that I was gaslighting him. I wasn't even talking about him at the time. I was talking about a disagreement between two other people. And I said, if it was me, I would do this. And he thought I was talking about him. Because that's the other thing. People that are doing something wrong automatically feel guilty every time you talk about something, even if you're not talking about them. I'm not going to bring up the creator, but there's a creator that every time the person they hate says something, they automatically make a video asking, is this person talking about me? And I know it from very good source, aka the creator in question, that no, they were not talking about this third person. But boy, was this person. And the sad reality is I have people that watch the people who have been really hateful to me and been bullies all the time. And they always tell me, oh, but I like their videos because they're funny or they're this or they're that. The person that I'm thinking about right now has bullied 3 or 4 content creators. All are either gay or old. They don't shoot their mouth at younger people. They shoot their mouth at old people or gay people. They have a pool of 4 or 5 content creators that they hate. If you're watching that content all the time, you're part of the problem. I don't care. I don't care if you're a friend of mine or not. I will be more than happy to tell you you're part of the problem. Because this person went from reporting about certain content creators to being downright hateful and accusatory about these people, including me. And you're just sitting there laughing at their jokes. Well, okay. You have every right to watch that content creator. I'm not telling you not to watch them. What I'm telling you is that if you are comfortable with that person, maybe you shouldn't be watching me, because that person bashes me all the time and you're laughing at the joke. I don't think it's funny. When does it turn out into, you know what, it's not funny, maybe I shouldn't watch this kind of content? I'm going to give you another example, and I'm going to use Rich Lux again. When I used to watch Rich Lux, Rich used to talk a lot about Kathleen Lights. I don't know if you guys remember Kathleen Lights, but she was a little pretty blonde. For being in the foodie beauty community in part of the problem. I know, but I can't. I'm talking about you, but that's funny. That is really funny. Yeah, she's the train wreck that you can't look away. But this, I'm going to talk about that. Since you brought it up, I'm going to talk about that in a second. But before I talk about that, he used to talk about Kathleen Lights. I don't know if you remember Kathleen Lights, but she was blonde and she never said a bad thing about any makeup. She always liked all the makeup and whatnot. And he used to hate on her. And you know what happened after the first couple of videos? When I realized that this was the thing with him, I stopped watching any video that he made about that person. If the title or the thumbnail had her, I wouldn't watch her. I wouldn't watch that video. Why? Because you're talking about somebody I like. And I was not going to subject myself to sit there and disagree with you when all I want to do when I'm on social media is entertainment or education. I don't want to stress myself. Life is stressful enough. Now, going to the foodie beauty thing. Here's the thing about foodie beauty and every community where the main point is to bash somebody. And I don't mean bash. Well, yeah, it kind of sort of is. But here's the thing. Number one, most of the stuff I've seen about foodie beauty is legitimate. The bad behavior is legitimate. So is it the same as bullying? In my opinion, no. Now, if the people that I see that are commenting on her looks and whatnot, yeah, I don't need that. Because here's the thing. When you start criticizing the beauty or the brain or the things that people can't control, you're losing the argument, because that's not part of the argument now. When you're criticizing her for trying to scam people or for all the nonsense that has happened with her boyfriends and whatnot, she put herself out there and she put that information out there. So you'll have all the right in the world to criticize her for that. But let's get real for a second. You're a fool, ma'am, because all the people that you watch are making a lot of money out of commenting on her. You have great commentary on her, and you don't have a channel. They're making money, maybe, and you're not. And you should be making money because, again, you have a lot of great commentary, because I read every single post you post on Twitter when I'm on Twitter. And you have a great insight, and you're not making money out of it. So, yes, I'm going to call you a fool for that. But not for the other thing. I'm not going to repeat what Molly said because I'm trying to keep it PG-13. But yeah, I agree with her. No one has the right to tell my creator what they have to do. Um, that's the last thing I'm going to touch on in terms of the creator, and then I'm going to go to the advice for people that are on the receiving end of this, because that part of that's going to be a video on its own. But yeah, here's the thing, and it's funny because the other day I was watching Peter Money, who was talking about how some of the things that people get away with now, we would have gotten killed, and by we he meant the drama community, because how dare you do this or say this or whatever. And he has a point, because I got it in a very small scale compared to them, but I remember. Just because I don't talk to many of these people anymore doesn't mean that I don't remember how they would bash certain creators. And as much as I don't want to defend these people, Nick Snyder and Dustin Daly used to get a lot of hate for having certain opinions on certain content creators because people didn't agree with them. And I don't think that's fair. Because at the end of the day, this is really simple. If you don't agree with Nick or Dustin or Paige or Peter, or I don't know who else it was on the drama community back then, here for the tea. Oh my God, what's the name of the two? Coco and, oh my God, I forgot their name. But any of the tea channels, if you don't agree with them, don't watch them. But if you are so upset that they are not making the video you want to watch, why don't you make it? You don't have to be on camera. You now have AI that you can train to create a picture of you talking in camera and saying what you're going to say. Do that. Don't know how to do it? Learn. It's not that hard. But the idea that people have to create content that you want to see because you watch them is ridiculous. The only people that have the right. Yeah, I do. I do have the best subs. And I apologize for almost killing my channel. That is going to change, but it's going to take me a while because I'm working full time, and when I come home, I'm dead. The only reason why I'm doing this on a Friday at 7 p.m. is because I took a mini vacation for 4 days, which sucks because I'm sick as a dog. I was supposed to be doing something else, but I'm sick as a dog. But just to reiterate something, nobody has a right to tell anybody else what to do with their channel or their content. You don't want you're upset with them because they don't agree with you. Do what I do. I just stopped watching them. There's a lot of content creators on social media I used to love that I don't watch anymore because I don't agree with them. If I see a thumbnail about something that I actually think I'll find interesting, I'll watch that video. But I don't watch them. I don't torture myself. I remember this person who unfortunately passed away, but I remember this person used to accuse me all the time of sending my viewers to downvote their videos. I found out that they were saying that 6 months after they passed away. I can't help you. People would do it because it would get a rise out of the creator. And they knew that if they downvoted that person's videos, and you know what? It's too bad that they're dead, because the first thing I would have said to them is, that's the best thing that can happen to you. Because if they're not liking it, they're hating it, you're still getting engagement, which YouTube classifies as that engagement and sends more people your way. Instead of getting angry, you should be happy with whoever's doing this to you. And I would have also suggested you should turn that into a game. Oh, let's see how many dislikes I can get today. Does it bother you on the inside? A little bit. But once you realize that all engagement is good engagement, let them. Who cares? So let's turn around because I want to go. I don't want to spend too much. Oh my God, I've been yapping for an hour. So let me go to the section where I talk to the people who are on the receiving end, because there's one message. And this is the most important message, I think. If you don't remember anything else I said today, please remember this. Most of the time, when you're getting hate on the internet, it's one person with 10 or 15 suck accounts that's coming after you. Guaranteed. And what I mean is this. When I was in my heyday, I had about 1,500 subscribers, and some of my videos got 5, 7, 10,000 views, 350 comments. I didn't have enough patience for all of them. Most of those videos I already deleted. Most of the videos on the channel are going to be safe for subscribers and Patreons. I don't want to have them public. But here's the thing, and this is the part that I want you to understand. When you have 1,000 subscribers, when you're starting out and you have 1,000 subscribers, there's a lady I watch on IG who does videos responding to rant she gets from idiots, usually male, and includes a thank you for their 20 comments that helped pay her. Yeah, that's the thing. Let me explain something. You have to get to a point mentally where you can handle this. So it's not that easy. It's easier said than done. But the reality is this. More often than not, and think about it this way, you're a small channel, but you're thriving. You have a lot of views. I wish I would have made more money. I would have put more ads on my videos back then because I would have made a little coin. But here's the thing. I used to get 100 to 150 hate comments on social media among all the platforms every day. I used to get death threats. I used to get if I ever see you, it's on site kind of comments. You're an idiot. Again, we go back to the whole thing. If you're insulting me and not actually debating me on what I'm saying, you're the moron. I'm not. Because I can debate you all day long on if I say something and you don't agree with me, we can debate all day. We can have a great conversation about it. But if your come out is, oh, you're old and you're ugly, you're not winning the argument, baby. I'm just not going to waste my time with you because you're a moron. But think about it this way. If you are receiving hate on the internet, I need you to understand this because I lived it. I was receiving 100 to 150 comments every time I posted a video. And when you have 1,000 people and 150 are doing that, that means 15% of your audience hates you. Normally, it's more like 30%, but the vocal ones are 15%, which is half of that audience. Okay? What you have to understand is that 9 times out of 10, one person has 10, 15 accounts, and so on and so forth. And how do I know? Because I had a couple of people do a little bit of digging and find out who handled what. And the reality is that I had, and of course, it also has a little bit to do with these people talking too much and telling on themselves, that I found out that I had maybe 10 or 15 people that were handling all of those accounts. And yes, when that person died, there were like 10 or 15 accounts that disappeared with that person. It's not as bad as you think. Now, I absolutely understand if you're already living with depression. Again, keep in mind, my mother had Alzheimer's when I was going through this. If it doesn't depress you that the person, and by the way, I had a great relationship with my parents, so keep that in mind as I'm saying this. If you don't have a good relationship with your mother, think about the mother figure or the person in your life that you love the most, other than your own kids, and think about this for a second. That person no longer recognizes you. You have to learn to love this new person that is in the body of the person, the most significant person in your life. because that person no longer recognizes it. You have all this love for this person that is no longer there. Keep that in mind as I'm telling you this. I'm living through this. And these people think it's okay to come and hate on me on a daily basis and have 15, 20, 25 accounts trashing me day to day. And the funny thing is, they don't think there's anything wrong with that because they don't realize how sick they are. Because let me be very clear with you. I have 2 accounts on Instagram and I have 2 accounts on Twitter. Every other website I have, a platform I have, well, except for YouTube. Every other platform I have, I only have 1 account. Why? Because 9 times out of 10, and that includes YouTube, I only use 1 account. Now, mind you, at no point am I covering the fact that those 2 accounts are related because it's the same face. I use my face. And when I use something that's not my face, I use the same one in both accounts. So people know it's the same account. Everybody knows that Aviddiva and Metamorphosis rocks are the same person. Okay? So I'm not hiding behind a suck account. And for those of you who don't know, suck account is slang for an account that you have that you use when you want to spy on people that block you or something like that. It's a separate account from your main account where you can be as rowdy as you want to be, basically. But the main goal is for nobody to know that account is yours. And the reality is, I don't know if you all remember In Line with Ellie and the whole scandal with the person that supposedly was coming after Sam from Here for the Tea, and she decided to expose them. And she made like this really long thread that I dissected on this channel to prove that everything that she was claiming was not necessarily true, and that I this is a perfect example of somebody that couldn't take legitimate disagreement. She hated my guts after that because I said I don't agree because this, and this. And I actually took logic in college. If A equals B and B equals C, A equals C because they all equal each other, right? Well, if A equals B but B doesn't equal C, in other words, it's a lie or if it's a fallacy or whatever, then A doesn't equal C. Once you lose the logic chain, I don't care. Because once one of your comments, one of your statements is false, you cannot tell me that the next statement is true because one of those, you're doing mental gymnastics at that point. Once one of your things is not correct, the whole argument falls apart. That's what I'm trying to say. And that's what I was trying to tell her. She made point A. Okay. She made point B. Okay. When she made point C, that was incorrect. The deduction of her process was incorrect. Once that deduction is incorrect, everything else that you say under it is incorrect also. Because you're basing it on 3 statements, and one of those 3 statements is not true. And I apologize that I got so philosophical, but that's the only way I know how to explain it. If somebody tells you two truths and a lie, and then they tell you an entire story based on those 2 truths and a lie, the entire story is a lie. Because there was 1 lie in the beginning of the argument, of the whole process. It comes from sock puppets. Correct. And they're coming from someone in no life. Thank you for bringing me back to that point. That's the point I was trying to make. It's really funny that people call me an avid beggar and a scammer and a fraud and all this other stuff, a PDF file. I don't even know what else to tell you. All the insults I've received in my life. I'm sick. I think I know more than anybody. Blah, blah, blah. You sit around on the internet creating accounts that talk to each other that they all belong to you, and you're trashing people for entertainment. Who's the sick one? I have depression. I live with depression. I'm living in a country that hates me right now. And and for the first time in my life since this whole thing started, I finally got confirmation that my husband and I are on the same page on this. Because he kept telling me that no, everything's going to be okay, blah, blah, blah. Today, I finally got him to admit that no, everything's not going to be okay. And if you're wondering if the reason why I'm coming back to YouTube and to post more often, even with the problems I'm having with the computer, I think I found a solution for that too. But I'm going to try my best. If not, they're going to be like little shorts until I can fix this. But the reason why I'm doing that is because I have to make sure that I have the funds if anything goes wrong. Because it's not even the fact that I might be in trouble or anything like that. It's the possibility that if the economy goes tits up, we need money. I don't know about you, but I'm tired of every month having to struggle to figure out how I'm going to pay all my bills. And then what ends up happening 9 times out of 10 is that we borrow against something or someone, and then we have to pay the amount plus the interest. It's crazy. And I always tell people, if I had an extra $1,000 a month, I would be fine. Well, I'm making the $1,000 and we're still in the hole because we've been borrowing from behind. The other day, somebody was telling me, why are you having so much trouble? And I'm like, you do realize that I had to move apartments and I did not have that in the plan because we were not supposed to move. If that apartment had taken care of the mold in the walls, I wouldn't have moved. That move cost me over $5,000 between money I didn't make because I was not working and money that I had to spend to rent a truck twice and do all these other things. If any of us loses our job right now, I'm going to need to recover $2,000 a month minimum. And I'm talking after taxes and after the bills are paid. It's not easy. Things in the United States are not easy right now. And it's made a lot worse when I pretty much belong to every marginalized community in terms of ethnicity, in terms of age, and pretty much everything else. We're not going to get into the other ones now. I already have enough issues. The fact that you all still mention me on occasion is baffling to me. Because until today, which is when I found out that you all every once in a while still mention me, I don't talk about you because I don't care. I have way too much things going on in my real life to worry about you. And now that my daughter and I are convinced that we want to make a real go at saving this channel and bringing up all the other social media accounts that we have, and I have other plans that are more artistic in nature, or not necessarily artistic, but they're not necessarily commentary about people. They're about more important things to us. We're really excited about those plans, and unfortunately, the computer is not cooperating. What? Well, you need to be well, remember, you have to remember that they don't like Catholics either. And for their purposes, I'm still Catholic, even though I'm not a practicing Catholic. So, yeah. But don't forget also that they don't think Jesus was Jewish, even though he was Jewish and an immigrant and not white. But we're not going to get into that right now. Bottom line is this. If you are a person that is suffering at the hands of social media bullies, I want you to understand that I see you, that I acknowledge that it's not as simple as disconnecting or closing a particular profile on a platform or blocking people. I am very much aware that that is not the solution to the problem, because it's funny how you're the one who's receiving the harassment and the bullying, but you're supposed to be the bigger person. How about instead of telling people to stop going to Twitter or to stop creating content or to stop doing whatever they're doing. How about we tell the bullies to stop doing what they're doing? Why don't we put the burden on the bad guys? I think that's a better solution. And I am very much aware that many of our politicians, not just in the United States, are a bunch of bullies who are enjoying their 5 minutes by being as horrible and as mean and as divisive as they can be. And that they're kind of making it okay to be a bully. But the reality is it's not fun to be a bully. Do you have any idea what a kind of miserable existence you lead when you're running around hating on people for a living? And I'm not talking about girl world, Millie. I'm talking about people that are like those people that were harassing that girl. I'm talking about the channels that we all know very well who I'm talking about, who have spent their entire life talking trash about certain content creators, not because they have done anything wrong, but because they don't like them. You have every right to like whoever you like and not like whoever you don't like. What you don't have a right to do is bully somebody just because you don't like them. Stop watching them. Stop giving them attention. I don't watch politics from any side anymore. Number one, because it's depressing as hell, but number two, and more importantly, because why would I give any of those people any energy? I have 450,000 books to read and then sell. I have notebook after notebook of notes that I need to take. I have tons of things that I want to say. And every time I come here and I say it, I start creating content and then the freaking computer goes crazy and I can't post anything. Well, I think I'm going to start doing something a little different, and that my Patreon is going to be the first one to notice, but I'm also going to post it on, if I open subscribers here, I'm going to do it here too. And I'm very much aware that people in the United States might not be able to help me and support me in terms of money. But you can watch the content and you can share the content. And if you see me on Twitter, you can share my tweets. And if you don't see me on Twitter because I'm shadow banned sometimes, I don't think I am, but you know what I mean. Just retweet my tweets. If you're on Instagram, repost my content. If you're here, repost my content. Every little bit helps. It doesn't have to be money. But do I need you all? And do I need you all to come back? And do I need you all to give me your opinions and thoughts? Yeah. And I would love to have you back. But I'm going to tell you right now, if you are one of the people who has bullied me in the past, it's going to take a long time for me to trust you. Because the damage you did is not damage that one recovers from that easily. Bullying is the one thing that creates a hole in people's lives. The first bully I ever had was a boy I had a crush on in sixth grade. He apologized to me over 40 years later. Did it feel good to hear the apology? Absolutely. Do I think he meant anything by it at the time? No. I look at it now and I'm like, no, he was just trying to get rid of the girl. He knew she had a crush on him and he didn't want anything to do with her. But then after that, when I moved to Dorado, which is my favorite place in Puerto Rico, I had a group of people that made my life a living hell. Now, those people did it on purpose. And there is a lot of issues that came out of that, including my eating disorder. Those people I will never forgive. And I realized that I just said that you shouldn't judge people now by what they acted in the past. They're still the same people. That's the only reason why I said that. It's because I have it in good faith from good people that I know, that they're still just as petty and as stupid as they used to be, only old. The ones that are still here. Just, if you're being bullied, I don't care if it's online or off, I know it's not as simple as ignoring them. If you need anyone to talk to me. Anyway, I'm going to go because my throat is killing me. I might come back on Sunday. I haven't decided that yet. If I find a good topic to talk about, I might come back on. It causes unnecessary trauma. Absolutely. I know I'm stuck with you people. I love you. Anyway, I got to go. Love you for watching. Thank you so much for keeping me company, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.